Hello, world. My name is Hannah, and this is my world, where I am going to be humble, open, and transparent about my journey as the wife, the mom, and the boss. Hello, world, and welcome back. I want to thank you guys for joining me again today, especially to my YouTube watchers. It's been a pleasure to have you guys just come on. Today, I really just want to talk to you guys about what I've been experiencing this past week. I don't know if you guys ever have these moments where you feel like nothing's going right and that you just straight up like a big flop, big failure, just it ain't going your way. And that's kind of where I found myself last week, even especially with the podcast, because I did not get a chance to record and put something up. And I'm like, dang, I'm failing my listeners. I'm failing my watchers. Like I said, I was going to upload every Wednesday. It ain't happened. And I was just like, man, and little things just kept piling up. I was feeling like a failure as a mom, as a wife, and just as a person, you know? And I wanted to talk to you guys about that, and I want to get your feedback. So please type in the comments, yeah, girl, I feel you, tell me, DM me on Instagram, like whatever. I want to know if you guys experience the same thing, because it's difficult. And it's when I'm going through that feeling like a failure, it's like one of the most loneliest times in the world for me, because I feel like nobody else understands, and nothing, it's great to have your hype people in your life. It's great to have, your surrounding inner circle that's there to get your mind right and to be like, hey, no, you are a good wife. No, you are a great mom, to tell you these things so that you don't allow yourself to fall down this rabbit hole of just like having a pity party or feeling bad about yourself. It's good to have them, but I guess for me, at times it's just like, let me have the moment first to kind of just process what I'm going through beforehand, because sometimes it's not that I don't receive what they're saying, it's just that I'm not ready to receive it, I guess. I don't know. But for example, I felt like I was failing as a mom because, for most of you who've been listening for a while, you know that I've been working remotely since the pandemic. And the kids have been going to virtual school. And so it's been a challenge, although God has given me the grace. It has been a challenge being a virtual learning guide for the children, especially when they're in two separate grades and they have two separate learning styles, and as well as trying to do my job remotely. And, I will say that it's been flexible because I've been able to adjust my hours. I'm able to set the time that I have student appointments so that it's not interfering at the same time that I need to help the kids, but the kids got a schedule. They have live lessons that they need to attend. And then on top of the live lessons that they need to attend, there's also tutoring sessions that they have to go to. And so it's keeping with this schedule, making sure that they're doing everything that they need to be doing, as well as me making sure that I need to do stuff. And when you have multiple things going on at one time, something is gonna fall through the cracks. As much as I try my best not to let anything fall through the cracks, like I have, a calendar on our wall inside of the office that we all sit in, because we're in the office together. Their desks are in there, my desk is in there, and like we're just all working together so that I can monitor them, make sure that they're staying focused and staying on top of their assignments and everything while I'm doing my job. But I have a calendar on the wall, and then I also have the calendar on my phone, which has the reminders on there for me to go off, like, hey, Skylin has her live lesson in 15 minutes, or AJ has his gifted lesson in 30 minutes. Like, I try to have all of that stuff on the calendar and trying to be as organized as I can be. Like I've told y'all before, I'm a Martha. Like I have my to-do list. But even with that, there are times that stuff falls through the cracks. Like last week, so the kids, they get their lunch break at 12 o'clock every day. and they get it for 30 minutes. And so they'll set Google and they'll say, hey, Google, set the timer for 30 minutes. And then Google goes off and they know, okay, it's time to come back and finish with their school. Well, on this particular day, I had back-to-back meetings, and I was going into, I think it was my science division meeting that I had. And this meeting was about, I think it was booked out for either an hour and a half or 2 hours long. So I'm sitting there on Zoom, answering emails while I'm also paying attention to the facilitator that's running the meeting and everything. And the kids went to lunch. And so I'm not thinking about the fact that, 30 minutes has gone by. Like, I heard when Google went off, and I heard when AJ said, hey, Google, thank you, so that the alarm would stop going off. But I didn't double check to say hey, y'all ain't come back inside the classroom yet. And so I'm sitting there, and like I said, I'm answering emails while I'm still paying attention to this meeting. And then after I realized an hour has gone by, and I'm like, yo, they're not even in here. So while I'm still in the meeting, I walk out into the living room, and I'm just like, y'all playing me right now. Seriously, this is not cool. You know that you only get a 30-minute lunch break, and y'all have assignments to come and do. And the thing is that last week was also a very hectic week in our house because it was FSA testing week. So AJ had FSA on Tuesday and Wednesday. Skylin had her FSA on Friday. So it was already not a rush, but our days were not the normal schedule because he had to be at the school, because even though they were virtual, the kids all had to go in to take their FSA testing. So he had to be at the school at 8:30 and had to get picked up by 10:30. So when he got picked up, I told him, I was like, hey, I know you did testing today, but you still have your assignments to get done because there's still stuff that has to be turned in for virtual school. So, he had only been working for maybe an hour or so by the time it was time for them to go to lunch. So I'm just like, dude, seriously, I heard when you told Google, thank you, because you heard the alarm, but instead of you getting up and coming back into the office to finish your work, you still out here watching TV. And so then, Skylin is actually sitting at the dining table with her laptop, working on stuff. But I know my child, you're not getting anything done because the TV is on. You're watching the TV yourself and getting distracted. So you're not getting any work done. You trying to get it done, but I know that nothing is happening because you're distracted by the television. And so I was highly upset with them. And I was just like, y'all are tripping. You're seriously bugging right now. And I'm disappointed. I can't trust you. Is that what you want? You want to lose my trust? I expect that you guys, when the alarm goes off, that you come back into the classroom to finish your assignment, not sitting out here watching TV. And so I fussed and fussed and fussed and fussed. And I just felt like a failure. And some of you are probably like, Hannah, you tripping. There was a lot going on that week, and your kids didn't do what they were supposed to. But where I felt like a failure was, one, I got so caught up in just trying to get my work done that I didn't follow up, because I heard when Google went off. And I heard when AJ responded to Google. So, when I saw that they didn't come inside the classroom, I should have immediately gone out there. That was one of the things that went through my mind. The second thing that went through my mind is that I was fussing at them. And I feel like there's other ways that I can handle disciplining my children. I'm not against the spanking, and I'm not saying you're not supposed to, fuss at your kids or whatever when they do wrong, because spare the rod, spoil the child. And sparing the rod to me does not just mean you spanking your child. I think the rod represents you disciplining your children, whether that is a verbal discipline, whether you decide to put them on a punishment and say they're grounded, or they take away their electronics. That is the rod. The rod is the actual disciplining. If you don't discipline your children at all, they will be spoiled. They will not know better. And so for me, I just feel like there's other ways to use the rod. And I feel like because children are just little people, You know what I'm saying? It's not one of it doesn't have to be a dictatorship because I said so, because I'm your mother, you need to listen. Like, I feel like children need to understand why. They need to understand the reasoning why they are being told to do something. And the reason why I feel that way is maybe because me as an adult, I want to understand the why. I do realize that you're not going to always know the why for everything that you have to do in life or everything that happens to you in life. But if there is a reason, if there is something behind it, I feel like it's necessary to be said. And so with my kids, I just feel like I can talk to them. I should be able to talk to them and have a conversation. And it's not just this fire breathing dragon that comes out when they make mistakes, you know? And so because I've been really trying to work on that and really trying to have more conversations with them and making sure that they understand the reason why I'm talking to them about something, in that moment, I just felt like I was failing myself. I was failing myself as a mother because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do for them. And then in that same day, already with anxiety being high and with me already dealing with, you know, just dropping the ball as not just their mom, but as their learning guide, because I'm like, I've shared this with you guys before in regards to me being the Martha and trying to learn to be more like Mary and live in the moment and be in the moment and not be so, you know, task oriented. But for me, when it comes to the lessons, like, I give each of them 4 assignments every day that they need to get done. And so it's usually the 4 core, which is their ELA, English and Language Arts, their math, their science, and their social studies. So they usually get 1 assignment each in those core subjects every day. And then Wednesdays are usually their like elective days where, you know, Skyline is in computer science and art, and AJ's in Spanish and computer science. So whatever assignment is due in those 2 classes for the week, they normally get that done on a Wednesday. And then I try to fit iReady in there as well. So the children have a lot going on between the 4 core subjects, their 2 electives, the iReady that they have to get done for both math and reading every single week, on top of the live lessons and the tutoring sessions and all that other stuff that they have going on. It's a lot to keep up with, and it's a lot to maintain. So for me, when we don't complete the assignments for that day, it rolls over to the next day. And I've been doing my best with trying to at least keep them ahead of pace, so that in those moments where, you know, things push comes to shoves, or something happens and we're not able to get it done, it's like, okay, well, this assignment wasn't actually due this Friday, so we're good as long as we get it done, you know. So when it doesn't happen, like this week, we found ourselves no longer being ahead of pace. We're now on pace now, which I'm not very thrilled about because being ahead of pace is just so much better and so much easier. So I need to figure out our schedule to get us back ahead of pace in all of our subjects again. And so because we're not, I just felt like I was failing. I felt like I was failing as their learning guide. I felt like I was failing as their mother. And then on top of that, Anthony had a self-tape to do. And so, you know, he's recording and I am his reader. And so I'm, you know, reading the part for him while he's going through it and everything. And, you know, of course, when you're doing a self-tape, you want to present your best self. You want to land your best audition and send it in, you know, because the hopes is you get the part, right? Like, you're not just going to do it just because. You're going to do it because you want to actually get the part. And so, you know, after we did it or whatever, mind you, I'm still at work, you know, but working from home allows me to step away for 15 minutes or even to go ahead and take a quick split up my lunch and like, okay, I'm either going to take my full hour for lunch or just take 30 minutes to help you with this. But I was still working, and he wanted to replay the takes. Now, it wasn't just one take. He did quite a few takes. I'm pretty sure that day we probably recorded it maybe 3 or 4 times. And there were 2 different takes that he really liked that he wanted to watch, back to back. And in that moment, I guess for me, if I'm honest with myself, I was just a little frustrated because I was like, I need to get back to work. And it was, I don't want to say frustrated was the word, but I think it was just anxious because I'm like, I need to get back to work. And so I'm gonna push pause right there real quick because Anthony's thing is like, Hannah, heaven forbid something happened to you and you're not able to do your job anymore, they're gonna find somebody else to replace you. So you shouldn't take your job so seriously. And I get where he's coming from, and I feel like it's very valid with what he's saying because like I shouldn't run myself into the grave for my job. But at the same time, I'm like, they hired me to do a job and they're paying me for it, so I need to give them my best, and I think even for myself, I find it very difficult to find a balance with that because the thing is that, yeah, I've been working from home. I'm blessed to still have a job. There's so many people that have lost their job in this pandemic. So I'm grateful that I have my job, but at the same time, like my work is in my house. And so with it being in my house, I don't find the separation anymore, or it's hard to find the separation. There were times where I was definitely giving them more hours than they're paying me for because technically we're not allowed for overtime. Like you only get overtime when it's approved. So if you work over your 40 hours, you're giving them free labor because it's like it wasn't approved, so we're not going to pay you for it. And so I really had to find a balance with that because I found myself working over the allotted 40 hours of the 40 hours that they paid me for. And so they got a lot of free work out of me because there's a couple of days that, I didn't take a lunch and I didn't report that I didn't take a lunch. I reported it as if I did, and that wasn't accurate. But it's getting back to where I felt like I failed as a wife was that I was trying to get back to work to finish doing what I was doing, and he wanted to replay the parts, and I was just like, well, I told him which one I thought was the best, and I said, well, I think the second take was the best. And he was just like, well, why? And I was like, because you felt more comfortable with the lines. Like, by this, when I say second take, it was out of the 2 takes that we were looking at. But this particular take was the last take of all the takes we did. So I was just like, by the time you got to this one, you were more comfortable. You were saying the lines more freely. Like, I think this was the better one. But I don't think that was enough. Or not that it wasn't enough, but it's not what he was expecting or wanting from me in that moment, and I wasn't delivering or giving him what he needed. And I could see how he became, like, I guess a little downcasted about it, because it was like, all right, Hannah, never mind. And I was just like, I'm sorry, like, what's the problem? And so I went back because he was just like, nah, I'm good, it's straight. And so I didn't want to argue, didn't want to fuss about it. And it's not that it would have been an argument, but I just didn't want to. If he didn't want to talk about it, I was like, I'm not going to force him. So I went back into the office to get my work done. And then a little bit later, he came and he expressed to me, how he felt about it. And that was the last straw. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Because already I was feeling like a failure, as a mom. I was feeling like a failure as a learning guide. I guess I was pretty much feeling like a failure as an employee as well, because I wasn't, getting my work done because of all of the different interruptions. Like, it was not a good balancing day. It was not a day that I balanced everything that was on my to-do list very well. It wasn't a day that I was managing my emotions very well. I allowed my anxiety to get the best of me. And so by the time he came to share what he had to say, that was it. I was done. And I was feeling like a failure. Like, yo, this you. we need to go back to the drawing board, Hannah, because like it's not working today. It really isn't. And so I was talking to one of my friends, and of course, like I said, it's good to have your circle of people around you to kind of pull you out of the rabbit hole, because you can fall so quickly in that space if you allow yourself to stay there. And so, she was saying to me, first of all, you're not failing as a mom. You're a great mom. She was like, you do a lot for your kids. Like, stop comparing yourself. And that's really what happens sometimes, right? Where we feel like we're failing ourselves, and it's just not working. And it's it's like the reason why you feel like you're failing, or like you're not doing great as a parent, or just as anything in life, is because you're comparing yourself to something else, right? Like, how would you know that you're failing if there wasn't something else to compare it to? If there wasn't something else out there that you were saying, oh, this is better. And so, in listening to her, I realized, I'm like, yeah, I'm comparing myself to what I think a good mom is. It's based off of what other people do, or how I see other people handle situations. And because I feel like they're handling it better than me, I'm comparing myself. And so now I have this metric, and it's just like, I can't keep comparing myself to other people. It's great to admire other folks and to maybe take a page out of their notebook and be like, hey, this works, this is working for them. Maybe I should try to see if it works for me. But at the same time, we're all different. We're all different types of moms. And our children are different. Like, I can't even, discipline my kids in the same manner, because they're two different individuals, and then even when it comes to being a wife, like I had a conversation with Anthony, because he came back to me and he was just like, how could I have said what I said differently? Because I guess for him, he felt that, or he could feel that I was hurt, by what he was sharing. And I said to him, I was just like, I don't want to make this about me right now. I said, it was about you and how you were feeling. He was like, no, but I'm asking you because in this moment, I'm making it about you. How could I have shared how I was feeling differently so that it could have been better received? And so I appreciate him coming to me and saying that. And I kind of shared with him, what was the like straw for me that made me feel bad. But he reassured me. It was just like, you're not a bad wife. It's just that in this moment, I wish you could have, taken the time to be there for me to go over this, because this is important. And so why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all of this because there's going to be times in life that I feel like I'm not getting it right, because I'm not. That's just the truth of the matter. And I'm pretty sure that you guys can relate to that. There's going to be times in life where you just feel like you're missing the mark, because you have all these different people depending on you. And sometimes, because we're human and we err, that we're going to mess up or fall short, And so in that moment, we have a choice to make. We have a choice to accept the fact that we're human and that we may not always get it right, or we can beat ourselves up and be like, dang, I didn't get it right. Like, this is wrong. And it's kind of like what I shared with a friend the other day, because things did not go the way that she was hoping for it to. And of course, when things don't go the way that you hope that it will, you find yourself in that place of feeling like a failure. And so I said to her, I said, you know what? You're always winning. I said, you're never losing, because it's a win or it's a learn, but it's never a loss. And, I was just sharing with her that we have to look at these losses in our life, these times where it appears that it's a loss, or it appears as that it's a failure. We have to look at those moments in life as opportunities to grow, an opportunity to reflect and to think about how could I have done this differently? Where is my area of improvement? What could I have done differently to make this go another way? And that's what it's about, because no successful person can say that they never failed before they saw the success. You may have 100 failures before then, but in each of those moments, if you allow yourself to learn, then you can grow. For me, I looked at my opportunity for growth with my children to be like, okay, no, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. They were wrong too, because when they heard the alarm go off, they should have came back and finished their assignments. But for me, because I know that, it was a long day for them, things weren't necessarily how it usually goes, I could have had a different approach. I allowed myself, because I was frustrated, I was still currently in a meeting, that maybe I could have just waited till the meeting was over, or maybe I could have just went out there and say, hey, you guys, time is up. I know you heard the alarm, but let's get back to work, instead of even fussing at them about it, which took away even more time. I could have approached it a different way. I could have also, as far as a learning opportunity, because I knew last week was going to be a hectic week because of FSA, I probably should have rethought the schedule and maybe not have put as many assignments. I didn't. For AJ, especially on the days that he had FSA testing, instead of giving him 4 assignments, I gave him 3. But maybe I should have only given him 2. Maybe I should have figured out another way to get all of the assignments that were due for last week done. And then as far as with Anthony, I could have just been like, you know what, let me go ahead and just take my lunch break, because I don't know how long this is going to take to help him with the self-tape. I know my husband, right? I'm supposed to deal with my spouse according to knowledge. I know how he is. I know he's not gonna just take it one time, or even tape it 3 times. With him, it's probably gonna be like 5 or 6 takes, because he just wants to get all these different type of, not personalities, but these different viewpoints of it, And so I know this about him. I knew that I should have known that it was going to take longer than about 20 minutes. And so I should have just set myself up for that so that I could be fully present there for him. And so I say all of that to say that, yeah, there's times that I feel like a failure, but just like how I said with my friend, that it's never a failure, but it's a learning opportunity. I probably should just take that advice for myself and be like, hey, this is a learning opportunity. Grow from this. Don't allow yourself to fall into this rabbit hole of feeling like a failure and having a pity party and thinking that you're not good enough and that you're failing your kids, you're failing your husband, and you're failing yourself. I'm not even going to feel like I'm failing with not uploading my podcast every Wednesday. But the truth of the matter is that's my goal. The goal is to make sure my learning opportunity is to better schedule myself so that I can get it done in time to upload it on Wednesday. So with that being said, I hope you guys got something out of the episode tonight. It's always my prayer that you do. Please continue to connect with me via social media. You can check me out on Instagram at Hannah's World or on Facebook on Hannah's World. You can also send your listener letters into hannahsworld00@gmail.com. And again, hello, check me out on YouTube. You guys go ahead, like, share, subscribe if you want to. But I would love more than anything for you to drop me a comment. Let me know what you think of the podcast so far. Let me know what you're thinking of the channel. I would love your feedback. Tell me some things that you guys want me to talk about. Because, it's Hannah's World, but I want to hear from you and I want to know what it is that you want to hear. So until next time, peace out, world.